In 1692, Salem Village was a small and divided community in colonial Massachusetts. That winter, two young girls in the home of Reverend Samuel Parris began experiencing violent fits, screaming, twisting, and claiming invisible forces were attacking them. Doctors couldn't explain it, so the town turned to the only answer they understood: witchcraft. Under pressure, the girls named 3 women they believed were responsible, and once those names were spoken, the accusations spread across the village like wildfire. Neighbors accused neighbors. Families accused each other. Dozens were arrested, and within months, the trials became one of the deadliest moral panics in American history. It began in a room so small it shouldn't have held the weight of a town's imagination. Cold wooden floors, a thin winter pressing against the windows. A few girls in Salem Village convulsed, cried out, and pointed at things no one else could see. Their families tried to hold them still, but their fear filled the room faster than the fire inside the hearth. Nobody understood what was happening, and in a community already strained by illness, conflict, and a harsh winter, the unknown became unbearable. Fear needs a face to survive, so the villagers gave it one. They believed the devil had arrived, not as a creature with horns, but as a neighbor they'd greeted for years. The fear spread faster than truth could move. And once fear finds momentum, stopping it feels like betrayal. People who had known each other for decades suddenly looked at one another with new, dangerous eyes. A gesture became a threat. A misfortune became a sign. A whisper became evidence. Every cough, every argument, every unlucky moment found an explanation in one word: witchcraft. Psychologists today call this fear contagion, the mind-absorbing panic from others until it becomes your own. In Salem, panic grew like a second language. Once one person spoke it, the rest responded without thinking. The community didn't need proof. They needed relief from uncertainty. Suspicion became the closest thing to comfort. As fear tightened its grip, accusation became a way to survive. If everyone around you was naming suspects, staying silent looked dangerous. So people accused rivals, neighbors, and even family, not always out of cruelty, sometimes out of the belief that naming someone else might save them. This is projection in its purest form, the mind pushing its own fear outward so it has somewhere else to land. By labeling others as dangerous, people felt a little less helpless. And once authority rewards fear instead of questions, panic becomes law. The trials brought chaos dressed like order. Dreams were treated as facts. Visions were accepted as testimony. Shadows became evidence. Judges listened to claims of invisible birds, spectral shapes, and unseen forces as if they were simple truths. Logic collapsed under the weight of the moment. This is how moral panic works. A community doesn't ask, "Is this real?" It asks, "How do we stop it?" Once imagination was accepted as a legal weapon, anyone could be guilty, and innocence no longer had a place to stand. Panic always grows until it threatens the people who created it. When respected leaders, church members, and even children of influential families were suddenly accused, the spell began to break. Fear is powerful, but it has limits. It cannot survive when it turns against those holding the torch. The same officials who once fueled the panic began doubting it. They saw something terrifying. The enemy wasn't witchcraft. It was the fear they had unleashed, and the community slowly realized they had been fighting their own shadows. When the trials ended, 20 people were gone. Dozens more were scarred. Families were left with empty chairs, unanswered questions, and the weight of a reality they couldn't change. Psychologically, Salem is a study of how quickly a society trades reason for safety, and how fear becomes the storyteller when truth can't keep up. The real damage didn't come from curses or magic. It came from the human mind under pressure, and those patterns never disappeared. Modern psychology sees the same mechanisms today, in crowds, in online outrage, in rumors that spread faster than facts. Any community can fall into panic when uncertainty meets fear. Centuries later, the Salem Witch Trials remain a warning written in human behavior. Whenever fear spreads faster than truth, whenever uncertainty turns neighbors into threats, whenever authority rewards panic instead of evidence, history quietly prepares to repeat itself. The real story of Salem isn't about witches. It's about what fear does when it finds an opening, about how collective worry becomes collective harm, and how quickly a peaceful place can collapse under the weight of its own imagination. The trials ended, but the psychology behind them still moves through crowds and crises today. Fear does not need proof to destroy. It only needs a moment when people stop thinking clearly and start thinking together.